In previous lessons, we have looked at lighting effects using the lighting effects filter, and I love it. It's great. You saw how it worked. But because it's helping us out, okay, so it's kind of doing things for us, there are limitations in what it can do based on what you want it to do. If you go manual, I'm not saying you have to, but if you go manual, you can do just about anything you want. So we're back on our girl who's holding the red rose petals in her hands, and that's 775 photo spin image. Let's change her around a little bit with some lighting effects without using the lighting effects filter. What do you say? Let's start out by opening up our rulers. Now you can go up to the word view and say show rulers, or you can use the shortcut. That's Control in Windows, Command on a Mac, R. I'm going to pull down a guide just by dragging and put it right about in the middle of those roses. I'm going to pull one over from here. Now watch what happens. See how it kind of stops right there? That means it's on dead center. I like that. I want one right there too. They're just going to help me out because I need a lot of guides. I'm going to pick up my elliptical marquee right here. I'm going to put it right in the middle right there. And I'm going to drag, holding the Alt key, Option key on a Mac, Alt in Windows, and create an area, a nice oval area right around her hands and around those red petals. Now her hands aren't perfectly centered. That's all right. I'm going to leave it right about there. Next, come up and pick up here your polygonal lasso, which draws straight lines. I'm going to get right on the edge right here. I'm an edge kind of guy. Hold the Shift key, please. We're adding, and click. Now, if you're not too familiar with the polygonal lasso, or if you haven't used it in a while, when you click, you draw straight lines someplace else. You click again. So I'm going to get right about here, right on the edge again, and click. I'm going to come up to about here, and click. Come over here. This doesn't have to be perfectly horizontal because it's not part of the image. But I'm going to try to get about the same distance over here, and then come down here and close it off just by clicking one more time. So we've added this cone shape, if you will, with a rounded bottom. Now, go up to the word select on the pull-down menu and say inverse. Now, we don't really need those guides anymore, I don't think. So let's go ahead and say view clear guides. So we have a selection that's influencing all the areas around the area we drew. Now we're going to need this again, okay? So let's go into channels and click the new button down here to make a copy of that. Don't rename it or anything. Just remember you got it. Let's go back to layers. Go into your adjustments right here and pick up levels. We could try exposure, levels, either one. Go into levels, and what we're going to do now, because since we made a selection, the selection control the mask, and the only areas it's going to change are those around the area we selected before we inversed it. So if we come here, we can pull in like here. We can pull over here. We can darken those areas up. Let's stop right about there for now. Now, the beauty of this is we can come back anytime we want to and say, I don't like this, and change it. That's why I like doing it this way. Come up to this button right here to get into our masking options. Now, there's that beautiful masking edge, this thing right here. But we don't really need that. I just want to feather. I'm going to come right here, and we're going to feather that edge. Again, we can change it next week if we want to. That's what I love about this. Let's go ahead and soften it about like that. Now, I might come back here again and make that even a little bit darker. Okay, let's stop right there. But we're not done. Let me go ahead and collapse this for now. Reselect our selection by going back to channels, holding down the control key, that's the command key on a Mac controller Windows, and clicking on alpha 1 down here. Now this is there because we do have a mask on our levels adjustment layer. But this is the one I want. Control click, command click, or control click. And there we go again. Inverse it, select inverse. Now here's the fun part. What I want to do now is control that area, because right now it's all just full blown. So with that area selected, let's go back to layers. There's our mask. Make sure that's selected. Pick up for your top color, we have black and white. Pick for the top color medium, gray, and leave the bottom as white. Pick up your gradient tool right here. Pick up this option right here, which of course is linear, and click here on this little button and make sure you have this one selected, which is foreground to background color. All these steps. Now we come out here. I'm going to start right about here. I'm going to drag down. Watch what happens. I begin influencing the image, creating more of a hot spot around the top of her head. But we're not done yet. Let me go ahead and deselect. That's a Control or Command on Mac, Control on Windows D, so we can see the image. What I would like to do now is control this area, light that up just a little bit. Now, if I pick up my paintbrush tool, that's what we're going to be using on the mask, I want to brush about that big. So I have an 1800 pixel wide brush right up here. I'm going to click this button right here, though, because I want an oval, not round. So I'm going to click right here. Let's bring that in just a little, something like that. And that's just about what I want right there. All right. So what do? Well, using that same color, the gray, I'm going to click right about here. Make sure you have the mask selected, of course, and watch what happens. Every time I click, it's going to get just a little bit lighter. Now, you want to go faster? Use a darker color. I like to control the process. And there you go. Now, we can look at the original. We did a lot of things, didn't we? And there's nothing wrong with that image. But I think what we did to this image really, really intensifies the look, manually creating our own lighting effect.